Helena always believed that true love knows no bounds. At 39, she lived a comfortable life in Portland, Oregon, alongside John, an ambitious businessman who had built a real estate empire. They had everything: an elegant mansion, luxury cars, trips around the world. But something Helena deeply desired was missing: children. That's when her life changed forever. Sarah, her best friend since college, was fighting a courageous battle against breast cancer. During the final months of treatment, Helena spent countless hours at the hospital, holding Sarah's hand and caring for Lily, her 10-year-old daughter, who watched her mother decline day by day. "Helena, promise you'll take care of her," Sarah whispered. On a rainy October afternoon, her blue eyes already losing their sparkle. "She has no one left. Her father abandoned us when he found out about the cancer." Helena held her friend's trembling hands. "I promise, Sarah. Lily will never be alone." 2 weeks later, Sarah left, leaving Lily orphaned and Helena heartbroken. The social worker was already talking about orphanages and foster families when Helena made the most important decision of her life. "John, we need to talk." Helena found her husband in his home office, surrounded by contracts and spreadsheets. "I want to adopt Lily." John looked up from the documents, frowning. "Helena, are you serious? A 10-year-old child? This will completely change our lives." "She has no one else, John. And we always wanted a family. But not like that. Not a child who already comes with traumas, with emotional baggage." Helena approached, touching her husband's shoulder. "She's a sweet, intelligent girl. Sarah raised her very well. Please, John, I can't let her go to an orphanage." There were weeks of tense conversations, but Helena's love for Lily prevailed. John, seeing his wife's determination, finally gave in. "All right, but you'll be responsible for her. I have my company to take care of." The adoption was finalized in December, and Lily arrived at the Morrison mansion with a small suitcase and a worn teddy bear. Helena greeted her with a warm hug, silently promising to give the girl all the love that Sarah could no longer offer. The early years were challenging. Lily suffered from constant nightmares, cried for her mother, and struggled at school. But Helena never gave up. She hired the best child psychologists, enrolled Lily in Portland's most prestigious private school, and dedicated every free moment to helping the girl adjust. "You don't have to call me Mom if you don't want to," Helena said one night, tucking Lily's blankets in. "But I want you to know that I love you, as if you were my own blood daughter." Lily, then 12 years old, held Helena's hand. "Can I call you Mother, Helena?" "Of course, my love. You can call me whatever you feel comfortable with." As the years passed, Lily blossomed. She became one of the best students in the school, participated in extracurricular activities, and seemed to have overcome her childhood traumas. Helena was immensely proud of the young woman she helped raise, investing in piano, French, and swimming lessons. Nothing was too expensive for Lily. John, for his part, maintained a respectful distance. He provided financially, but rarely involved himself in raising the girl. "That's women's stuff," he used to say when Helena asked to participate in school meetings or events. Now, at 49, Helena watched Lily transform into a stunning young woman. At 21, Lily had silky blonde hair, piercing green eyes, and a beauty that made people stop in the street to stare. She was studying business administration at the University of Oregon and always talked about how she wanted to help John with his business after graduation. But lately, Helena had noticed something different. John was coming home later from work, always with excuses about important meetings. Lily, who used to talk openly with Helena about everything, now seemed distant, almost calculating in her words. "Mother Helena, don't you think you're getting tired?" Lily asked during dinner, watching Helena serve dessert. "Perhaps you should rest more, take better care of yourself." Helena smiled, interpreting it as genuine concern. "I'm fine, dear. Taking care of you gives me energy." John avoided Helena's gaze throughout the meal, concentrating on his phone. When Lily offered to help John with some documents in his office, Helena felt a tightness in her chest that she chose to ignore. After all, Lily was her daughter, the girl she saved, raised, and loved unconditionally, and John was her husband of 25 years. Her mind refused to connect the dots. His heart was beginning to notice. Helena's 50th birthday party was perfect. The Beverly Hills mansion, where they moved 5 years ago when John's business took off, shone with golden lights and arrangements of white roses. Helena had planned every detail for months, wanting to celebrate this new decade surrounded by the people she loved. More than 100 guests filled the elegant gardens: John's work colleagues, influential neighbors, friends from Californian high society. Helena wore a burgundy dress that accentuated her eyes, feeling radiant despite the slight signs of age that had bothered her so much lately. "You look beautiful, darling," said Margaret, a longtime friend. 50 years old, and you still look 40. Helena smiled, but her eyes searched for John in the crowd. He was near the pool, chatting animatedly with some investors, but he seemed tense, avoiding her gaze whenever she approached. Lily circulated through the party like a natural hostess, dazzling in a white dress that embraced every curve of her young body. Helena noticed how the men followed her with their eyes, but she also perceived something that made her uncomfortable. Lily and John exchanged quick glances, small smiles that seemed to carry secrets. "Guys, can I have your attention?" John's voice broke the murmur of the party. He was in the center of the garden, holding a glass of champagne with Lily strangely close to him. Helena approached, smiling, expecting a romantic toast or a declaration of love. After all, it was her birthday party. "I'd like to make an important announcement," John continued, his voice firm but cold. "Helena, we need to talk about our marriage, and I couldn't miss this opportunity where we've gathered close friends and family." Helena's smile faltered. "John, what are you doing?" "I want a divorce." The words fell like bombs in the silent garden. The guests stopped talking, glasses suspended in the air, all staring in shock at the scene unfolding before them. "What?" Helena felt the world spin around her. "John, you're kidding, right? It's my birthday party." "I'm not kidding, Helena. Our marriage ended a long time ago. We just pretended it was still working." Lily moved to John's side, and Helena saw something that made her blood run cold. The young woman intertwined her fingers with her husband's, an intimate and possessive gesture, right there, in front of the guests, without a shred of remorse. "No," Helena whispered, the revelation hitting her like a bolt of lightning. "Lily, no, you wouldn't do this to me. After everything I've done." Lily smiled, but it wasn't the sweet smile Helena had known for 11 years. It was cold, calculating and cruel. "Oh, Mother Helena, you've always been so naive." "Lily's a grown woman now," John said, putting his arm around the young woman's waist. "And we fell in love. It happens. You more than anyone should know that." Helena felt her legs weaken. The whispers of the guests began to grow louder around her, but she could only focus on the devastating image of her adopted daughter in her husband's arms. "How could you do this to me?" Helena managed to say, but tears were already streaming down her face. "Lily, I raised you. I loved you like my own daughter. And I'm grateful for that," Lily replied, with a coldness Helena had never seen. "But you need to understand one thing. You were just a glorified nanny, a woman who took care of me until I was old enough not to need you anymore. And I went my own way with the man I chose." The guests began to murmur in shock. Some women put their hands to their mouths, horrified by the cruelty of the young woman's words, who clearly did not understand the meaning of the word gratitude. "John needs a real woman by his side," Lily continued, her voice growing colder. "Not a washed-up old woman like you." Helena felt as if she had been stabbed in the heart. Every word Lily had spoken echoed in her mind, destroying years of love and devotion in a matter of seconds. "Lily, please." Helena held out her hand to the young woman, but Lily recoiled in disgust. "Don't touch me. You had your chance to be happy, Helena. Now it's my turn." John approached, his expression a mixture of guilt and relief. "Helena, you're going to receive a generous pension. My lawyers have already prepared the paperwork, but I want you out of this house by the end of the week." "This is my home too," Helena shouted, finally finding her voice. "I helped build all of this." "Actually, no," John replied coldly. "The house is in my name, the company is in my name. You're leaving with what you brought to the marriage, practically nothing." The guests began to disperse, clearly uncomfortable with the situation. Some whispered amongst themselves, others simply left in silence, leaving Helena alone with her public humiliation. Margaret approached, gently touching Helena's arm. "Darling, let's get out of here. You don't need to go through this in front of everyone. You have rights and no one in this world can take them away from you." But Helena couldn't move. She stared at Lily, the girl she had rescued from the orphanage, whom she had raised with so much love, whom she considered her greatest achievement in life. And all she saw now was a cruel stranger who had destroyed her family without a shred of remorse. "You'll regret this," Helena whispered, more to herself than to them. Lily laughed, a chilling sound that echoed through the empty garden. "No, Helena, you're the one who's going to regret it, for wasting the best years of your life taking care of a child who was never really yours. Next time, make sure you're alone." Helena finally found the strength to leave, walking through the house that had been her home for 5 years, past family photos that now seemed like cruel lies. She went upstairs to her room, packed a bag with the essentials, and left through the front door, leaving behind 25 years of marriage and 11 years of dedicated motherhood to an ungrateful person. As she drove through the dark streets of Beverly Hills, Helena wept not only for her husband's betrayal, but for the loss of her daughter, whom she loved more than life itself. The pain of Lily's rejection was far worse than anything else, John's infidelity. A month after the public humiliation, Helena watched on television in her rented apartment in Santa Monica the images of John and Lily's whirlwind wedding in Las Vegas. The photos were plastered across the society pages. John, at 52, radiant beside Lily, who wore a provocative white dress and smiled as if she had conquered the world. Helena angrily turned off the TV, but couldn't shake the pain that still throbbed in her chest. In just 1 month, her life had completely crumbled. John's lawyers were ruthless. She walked away from the divorce with a monthly alimony payment that barely covered her basic expenses, while John retained complete control over the $500 million empire they had built together. "Mrs. Morrison?" The elderly neighbor's voice brought her back to reality. "There's mail for you." Helena opened the door and received an elegant envelope. Inside were photos of John and Lily's honeymoon, a luxurious yacht sailing the Mediterranean, dinners at 5-star restaurants in Monaco, extravagant shopping sprees in Parisian boutiques. A handwritten note from Lily accompanied the photos. "Thank you for teaching me that money can buy happiness. I'm enjoying every penny. Lily Morrison." Helena tore up the photos in a rage, but one caught her eye before it was destroyed. John looked tired, almost sickly, forcing smiles for the cameras while Lily posed seductively beside him. Meanwhile, on the yacht Golden Dream, anchored off the coast of Santorini, the honeymoon was far from the paradise the photos suggested. John spent most of his time on the phone, trying to manage the damage his absence was causing to the business. "Can't you even stop working on our honeymoon?" Lily complained, wearing a tiny bikini while sipping Dom Perignon champagne. "I thought being rich meant having no worries." "Business doesn't stop, Lily," John replied, distressed by the financial reports on his laptop. "Some investors are questioning our situation. The scandal surrounding our wedding has damaged our reputation." Lily leaned closer, running her fingers across John's chest. "Relax, love. When we get back, I'll help you manage everything. After all, I'm your partner now." John gently pushed her away. "Lily, you're my wife, not my business partner. Business is complicated. It requires experience." "Experience?" Lily stepped back, her green eyes gleaming with anger. "I studied business administration, John. I'm not a decorative doll. That's not what I meant." "Yes, it was," Lily exploded. "Do you think I married you just for your charming personality? I want my share of the empire, John. I deserve it after everything I went through with that pathetic woman who raised me." John felt a pang of regret when he heard Lily speak of Helena with such contempt. In recent days, he had begun to question his decisions. Helena had been a devoted wife for 25 years, and he had publicly humiliated her for a passion that was beginning to seem superficial. "Lily, perhaps we should have handled the situation differently. Helena didn't deserve any of what we did." "Don't come to me with remorse now," Lily interrupted him. "You made your choice, now live with it." That night, during dinner on the yacht's deck, John began to feel chest pains. He had drunk more than usual, trying to drown the guilt that consumed him. Lily was radiant, planning aloud how they would remodel the mansion and expand their business. "Let's throw a grand opening party for the new Morrison era," Lily said, her eyes gleaming with ambition. "I want everyone to see that I'm now in charge alongside you." "Lily, you need to understand that." John stopped mid-sentence, clutching his chest. A sharp pain pierced him like an arrow. "John, what's wrong?" Lily asked, but her concern sounded more like irritation than genuine worry. "My chest, I can't breathe." John staggered to his feet, dropping his glass of red wine, which spilled across the deck like blood. "John!" Lily cried, but she didn't move to help him. She stood paralyzed, watching her husband writhe in pain. John fell to his knees, his hands clutching his chest desperately. Call for help," Lily finally reacted, but her movements were mechanical, almost calculated. She picked up the phone, but her hands trembled, not from despair, but from something that felt more like nervous excitement. "Hello, I need urgent medical help," she shouted into the phone, but her eyes were fixed on John with a strange expression. John fell onto the deck, his eyes meeting Lily's one last time. In that moment, he saw something that terrified him more than death itself. Lily wasn't trying to save him. She was waiting, perhaps buying time. "Helena," was the last word John managed to whisper before his eyes closed forever. Lily stood there for long minutes, observing her husband's motionless body. When the medical team finally arrived, she was crying dramatically, playing the role of the young widow devastated by her husband's sudden death. "He was fine during dinner," she sobbed to the paramedics. "Suddenly he started having chest pains. I tried to help, but..." 2 weeks later, Lily returned to Los Angeles as the city's wealthiest widow. She wore elegant mourning clothes, but her eyes gleamed with a satisfaction she could barely conceal. At 21, she believed she had achieved everything: freedom, fortune, and the power she had always longed for. During the funeral, she perfectly played the role of the grieving wife, receiving condolences from hundreds of people. Helena watched from afar, from the back of the church, her tears being the only genuine ones in that place. Lily noticed Helena's presence, and for a brief moment their eyes met, a smile almost imperceptible. Lily's sketch was like a final stab in Helena's heart. She didn't know it, but the war was only starting. The Hartwell & Associates law office in Century City was a temple of marble and mahogany that exuded power and old money. Helena arrived 15 minutes early, wearing a simple black suit she had bought at a department store, a stark contrast to the designer dresses she used to wear when she was John Morrison's wife. She sat in the waiting room, her hands trembling slightly as she flipped through a magazine without actually reading. 3 months had passed since John's death, and this was the first time she had stepped into a place that reminded her of her former life of luxury. "Mrs. Morrison," the secretary called out with a professional smile, "Mr. Hartwell is ready to receive you." Helena entered the conference room and immediately felt the air grow heavy. Lily was already there, seated at the head of the table as if she owned the place. She wore a black Chanel suit with gold details, her hair perfectly styled in an elegant bun, and designer glasses that made her look like a powerful executive. Lily didn't even glance at Helena when she entered. Instead, she checked messages on her gold iPhone, as if the reading of the will was just another appointment on her busy schedule. "Good morning, Helena," said Richard Hartwell, John's lawyer for over 20 years. He seemed uncomfortable, avoiding direct eye contact with both women. "Please have a seat." Helena chose a chair on the opposite side of the table, as far away from Lily as possible. The silence in the room was tense. "Well," Hartwell began, adjusting his glasses and opening a bulky folder. "We're here for the reading of John Morrison's will, dated..." He paused, frowning. "Interesting. This will was altered just 2 weeks before his death." Lily finally looked up, a genuine look of surprise crossing her face. "Altered? John didn't tell me anything about this." "Apparently he made some significant changes," Hartwell continued, pulling a sealed envelope from the briefcase. "He also left a personal letter that should be read before the official will." Helena felt her heart race. Had John changed his will after marrying Lily? Why? And why had she been summoned if they were already divorced? Hartwell carefully opened the envelope and pulled out several sheets of letterhead. "This letter is signed and authenticated by 2 witnesses. John insisted it be read in its entirety." Lily leaned forward, her mask of indifference finally cracking. "Read that letter quickly. I have other obligations." Hartwell cleared his throat and began to read in a solemn voice. "If this letter is being read, it is because I am no longer part of this world. In the last few months of my life, I have had time to reflect on my choices and on the people who truly mattered on my journey." Helen felt tears welling up in her eyes. Even after everything, hearing John's words still moved her. "Therefore, my wish is that all my shares and full control of Morrison Enterprises remain with the woman I have loved most in my life, and who was the only one who truly helped me grow as a man and as a businessman." Lily straightened up in her chair, a confident smile spreading across her face. She was already mentally reorganizing John's office. "I know that lately I've made terrible mistakes and deeply hurt the person who least deserved to suffer, but I could never fail to acknowledge the effort, dedication, and immeasurable value of that wonderful woman who is my ex-wife, Helena Morrison." Lily's smile vanished instantly. She turned pale, her hands gripping the arms of the chair so tightly that her knuckles turned white. "What?" Lily whispered, her voice coming out as a hiss. Helena was in shock, unable to process what she was hearing. Had John left everything to her? Hartwell continued reading. "Helena, I know nothing can erase what I did to you and our family. I know I publicly humiliated you and destroyed 25 years of a marriage that I should have cherished until my last day. I hope you can forgive me and use this inheritance to rebuild the life I destroyed." Tears streamed freely down Helena's face now. She never expected this from John, especially after the cruelty with which he had treated her. "And to my current wife, Lily Morrison," Hartwell's voice tightened, "I leave the sum of $100 million. I always knew that to you I was nothing more than a wallet full of money, but even so I couldn't help but be captivated by your youth and beauty." Lily exploded from her chair as if she'd been electrocuted. $100 million? $100 million, she screamed, her elegant composure completely vanishing. "This is a joke. I'm his wife. I'm entitled to half of everything." "Lily, please sit down," Hartwell said firmly. "I'm not finished yet." "I'm not sitting down. This is absurd." Lily began pacing back and forth, her hands gesturing frantically. $100 million is peanuts. The company is worth $500 million. I'm not going to accept this." Helena remained silent, still processing the surreal turn of events. John had repented. He had acknowledged his mistakes and tried to correct them in the only way he could. "Everything we experienced was wonderful, Lily," Hartwell finished reading, "but now I understand that true love isn't based on physical passion or youth. It's based on partnership, respect, and mutual dedication. Things I had with Helena and threw away out of sheer stupidity." Lily stopped walking and turned to Helena, her green eyes burning with hatred. You did something. You manipulated him." "I didn't do anything," Helena replied calmly, finding her voice for the first time. "I haven't even spoken to John since the party." "Lies!" Lily shouted. "You must have gone to him. You must have begged. You must have—" "Lily, that's enough," Hartwell interrupted. "The will is valid and was made of John's own free will. He was in his right mind when he signed it." Lily turned to the lawyer, her expression fierce. "I'll contest this in court. I'll prove he was ill, that he was coerced. I won't settle for crumbs while that woman gets away with my empire." "Your empire?" Helena finally stood up, a new strength coursing through her veins. "Lily, you're 21 years old. What empire have you built? What sacrifices have you made?" "I married him. I made him happy. I deserve every penny." "You betrayed him with me while we were still married. You humiliated me publicly. You destroyed a family out of pure greed." Lily pointed her finger at Helena, trembling with rage. "I'm going to fight for this. I'm going to hire the best lawyers in Los Angeles. When I'm done, you won't even have the $100 million that will be left." Hartwell coughed discreetly. "Actually, Lily, there's one more thing I need to read. A specific clause in the prenuptial agreement you signed." Lily turned to him, her eyes narrowing. "What clause?" The lawyer pulled another document from the folder, and Helena noticed his hands were trembling slightly. This clause was inserted at John's insistence 2 days before the wedding. Hartwell adjusted his glasses and began to read the document in a grave voice. Clause 7. 3 of the prenuptial agreement. The current wife, Lily Morrison, agrees in case of widowhood to relinquish any shares of Morrison Enterprises in exchange for the fixed sum of $100 million. Lily stood still for a moment, processing the words. I don't remember signing this." "There's more," Hartwell continued, his voice growing more serious. "If the wife contests this will or attempts to claim control of the company through legal action, she will immediately forfeit her right to the $100 million and leave the marriage without any financial compensation." The silence in the room grew heavy. Lily turned as pale as a sheet, her legs wobbling until she leaned on the mahogany table. This can't be right," she whispered, her voice coming out like a thread. "It's completely legal," Hartwell confirmed. "You signed this document in the presence of 2 witnesses and a notary. Your signature is here, authenticated." Helena watched the scene in silence, seeing the reality slowly forming on Lily's face. The young woman who had been so cruel, so calculating, had fallen into her own trap of greed. "But I didn't read that," Lily exploded, her voice echoing through the room. "John told me it was just a formality. He said it was to protect them both. Mrs. Morrison," Hartwell said with professional patience, "the law does not require you to read a document before signing it. It only requires you to sign of your own free will, which you did." Lily turned to Helena, her green eyes now filled with despair instead of anger. "Helena, you need to help me. We can split everything. You know I didn't deserve this." Helena stood up slowly, feeling a strength she hadn't experienced in months. "Lily, you told me at my own birthday party that I was just a glorified nanny. You called me a washed-up old woman, You destroyed my family and humiliated 25 years of my life. I was angry. I didn't mean that. You meant every word, Helena replied calmly. And now you're discovering that actions have consequences. Lily approached, trying to touch Helena's arm, but she pulled away. Please, Helena, I was just a young woman enchanted by a life of luxury. I didn't know what I was doing. You were 21 when you destroyed my life, Lily, old enough to know exactly what you were doing. Lily turned to Hartwell, desperate. There has to be a loophole, some way to contest this. Lily, Hartwell said gently, you have two options. Accept the 100 million and move on, or try to contest and lose everything. John was very clear about that. Now it's up to you to choose one of the options. 100 million, Lily repeated, as if the words were poison in her mouth. A measly 100 million while she gets 500. 100 million is more money than most people see in their entire lives, Helena said. It's more than you deserve after what you've done. Lily slumped into her chair, her elegant posture vanishing completely. She looked like a child caught in a prank, not the sophisticated woman who had entered the room an hour earlier. I thought I had won, she whispered, more to herself. I thought I had conquered everything. You made money, Lily, Helena said, grabbing her purse and preparing to leave. But you lost so much more than that. You lost a family that loved you. You lost the only mother you ever truly had. And you lost your soul in the process. Helena headed for the door but stopped and turned around one last time. You know what's saddest, Lily? I truly loved you like a daughter. If you had come to me and told me about your feelings for John, maybe we could have talked. Maybe we could have found a solution that wouldn't have destroyed our family. Tears began to stream down Lily's face, but Helena felt no pity. They were tears of self-pity, not of genuine regret. But you chose cruelty. You chose humiliation. You chose to destroy instead of build, and now you are reaping what you sowed. Helena left the room, leaving Lily alone with Hartwell and the consequences of her choices. In the marble corridors of the office, she finally allowed her own tears to fall, not of sadness but of relief. 3 months later, Helena was in her new office atop the Morrison Enterprises building, gazing out the panoramic window at the city of Los Angeles. She had taken control of the company with a determination that surprised even the most seasoned executives. Lily had accepted the 100 million and disappeared from Los Angeles, buying a mansion in Miami, where she tried to rebuild her life away from the judgmental eyes of Californian high society. Helena picked up a framed photo from her desk, an old picture of Lily when she was 12, genuinely smiling as Helena helped her with her homework. For a moment, she felt a pang of sadness for the sweet girl Lily had once been, but then she looked at John's portrait on the wall, not the man who had betrayed her, but the partner who had acknowledged his mistakes and tried to correct them in the only way he could. He had given her back not only her fortune, but her dignity. Helena smiled, put Lily's photo away in the drawer, and went back to work. She had an empire to manage and a life to rebuild. And this time, she would do it on her own terms. Justice sometimes arrives in ways we least expect, and sometimes the people we love most are the ones who teach us the most about our own strength. Did you enjoy the story? Click the like button if you believe that every betrayal has its price. Subscribe to the channel for more stories of overcoming adversity and revenge, and tell me in the comments what city or state you're watching from. I love knowing where my viewers are.